this here is Ezron. Ezron is a kid here in our group, and he's here to talk about ADHD and his life and how it affects him and every so often. And he also will further disclose a section in this book about an important lesson that will be affiliated to help Ezron cope with his ADHD mechanism and how it should further solve. So let's go get ready to rumble.
So as Henry stated, this is my presentation, ADHD and communication. Also, can I take a second to explain the cat? I thought it was a good analogy because cats tend to be really distracted by laser pointers. I know from personal experience, my friend has a cat and I'm always making him run to walls. Call me that person. So I get distracted as easily as cats get distracted with laser pointers. So I just thought that would be a good analogy. So yeah. So, again. My LD, my learning difference, is ADHD. ADHD is actually an acronym, meaning Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. In short, that basically just means that I am way too hyper to give any sort of good attention to basically anything. Mr. Eisner can vouch for this. Yeah, because of this, this makes also remembering things an issue because, well, as we probably know, you have to pay attention to something to actually memorize it later, and I'm almost never paying attention, so yes, problematic. Also, I chose this image because this is me very often. Get my attention, and it's gone. Oh, wait. Okay, let me just go back.
Oh my, why?
Oh, you'll see what that is. Also, a specific example of when my ADHD wound up being obvious in my communication is actually a recent Wednesday meeting. Before the Wednesday meeting started, I was talking with a friend of mine, George, right? He had his sketchbook out, right? So while we were talking, I just caught a look of it and stuff, and halfway through one of his sentences, I just snapped to his sketchbook, and I didn't hear the rest of the conversation. And when he asked me, the question, I was like, I wasn't listening, sorry. So, yeah. That's specific. Sorry.
It's first base.
That works. How it affects my communication. Much like Donald Trump in Mexico, ADHD and talking don't mix well at all. Political jokes. Because of my short attention span and bad memory, as I stated previously, I always have a constant need to say what I'm thinking of before I forget it, because oftentimes when I'm trying to say something, as I'm waiting to be called on, the thought will just vanish from thin air. So yeah, I really always am trying to, that's why I tend to interrupt one, basically. Well, yeah, I said that. And yeah, also in general I have trouble waiting my turn to speak because, again, the forgetfulness thing. I also miss out on a lot of essential conversational cues because this has nothing to do with my ADHD, it's just generally something I have trouble with. So it's weird, I tend to not catch them that much. Also, taking turns, part one. Because I interrupt a lot, I think that in the book, the principles of conversation, specifically turn-taking section, is invaluable for me. In one of the discussion posts, I did list this as least useful, and I will admit I was in denial. I did not want to admit I suck at this. But yeah, it is actually very useful for me, contrary to what I said in this post. According to DeVito on page 147, the principle of turn-taking is a process where both listener and speaker exchange cues for conversational turns. What a conversational turn is, you may ask. A conversation conversational turn is essentially like the cuts in the conversation where one speaks and the other one allows them to and listens. For example, right now, it's my turn to speak and you guys are all listening. So yeah. Further elaborate, conversational turns require both parties to cooperate. One has to yield to the other so they can say their place. While they're yielding, they should not talk. Well, they have to not talk and respect the other person's right to speak. Cues are also important in the yielding of conversational turns, such as the turn maintaining cues, turn yielding cues, and turn denying cues, which, as I stated previously, I don't catch up on very often. Interruptions, which I do very often, are a violation of these conversational turns, because I'm essentially skipping the other person's turn when I interrupt them. Also interrupting Cal.
You're welcome. I inspired
Oh,
you.
God. Why?
It's clever.
Why I think it's useful. I chose this concept because of the relevance it has to my own life. For a very long time, I didn't understand or obey the principles of conversation. You guys may see me now as sort of conversationally adept, but when I was a little kid, no one got to speak with me for more than 5 seconds without me cutting them off. It was ridiculous. But yeah, it's not just useful for me though. I mean, the way I feel, this section breaks down the way that people are supposed to take turns in like layman's terms, simple terms. Well, mostly, we all know that the book can be pretty wordy. Well, also, if someone already knows this stuff, I mean, it'll just further enhance their knowledge of it and just make them know that much more. And if someone like me, who has almost little to no knowledge of this, it does a really good job of teaching them from the ground up. One example of how this concept is personally useful to me is, I cannot name a specific one. Almost all of my recent conversations, I have applied this. So, and I'm saying almost because I have interrupted recently. I can never escape it. And that's my presentation. Also, I put a little about the author page just for fun. So, Ezron Cruz said author. You barely managed to complete this assignment on time. You worked really hard on this. You hope to enjoy this hard work. If you did not, you have the right to your own opinion. You will be mad though.